He took a teaching job at BYU. I'm happy. Well, I think he probably has a couple of more in the can. Yeah, I imagine he had stuff. Because I mean, I had stuff.
Test, test. Test, test. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. We're pleased to have University of Utah President Shayla Randall, Director of Athletics Mark Harlan. They'll begin with opening comments, and then we will open it up to questions. A couple of housekeeping notes. We are live streaming this press conference, so we do ask that when you have a question, media members, please request the microphone, identify yourselves and your affiliation, and also point out to whom you're directing your question. So with that, we will open it up.
Well, first off, good morning, everyone. It's great to see everyone here for a big day for the University of Utah and University of Utah Athletics. I want to begin by thanking the Big 12 Conference. their presidents, and Commissioner Brett Yormark for giving us the opportunity to compete with our athletic programs at a very, very high level. We are looking forward to that partnership. It's an innovative conference that is looking towards the future. I also want to say that I'm very, very grateful to all of my Pac-12 colleagues. We spent the last year working diligently together to try to keep this conference together, but as I mentioned in my written release last weekend, ultimately the dynamics of collegiate sports and media markets bring us to where we are here today. I want to say that we've spent 12 great years in that conference, and I believe that the relationships will continue. We have dear friends. To our students, and particularly our student athletes and administrators, our coaches, fans, trustees, we just want to say thank you very much for the patience as we've navigated this extraordinarily complex situation. I'm very, very optimistic about the future, and certainly enthusiastic about the opportunity we have to associate within the Big 12. You know, being part of the Pac-12 raised the profile of this university, not just, I'm speaking more at a university level, not just in our athletics programs, but also in our academic programs. I know many, many of the presidents in the Big 12, and I am telling you, those are also outstanding institutions. Our goal has always been to become one of the top public universities with unsurpassed societal impact. That means that when we make a decision like this, we think holistically about the university. We think about the standards it sets for us. And this Big 12 conference sets high standards. We're very, very excited about that. I think you're going to see the collaborations university-wide will accelerate, and we will accelerate towards that goal. Now, I'm a fan, a lifelong fan of this university, and I know we're going to get questions about the renewed rivalry with Brigham Young University. For me, it's always been fun. We're looking forward to that. We've appreciated the way we've worked together over the years when we've not been in the same conference. We're certainly looking forward to the years where we will be. So anyway, I hope you all are as excited as we are to this new opportunity for the University of Utah and University of Utah athletics. And with that, I'll turn the time over to Mark.
I think the president said it very well. I just do want to pause and just say something about this gentleman to my right. His leadership has been extraordinary through a lot of things in the 2+ years we've been working through triumph and tragedy and everything that we've gone through together. Your leadership in this process, your steadiness, making me calm at moments, hopefully I did the same for you, has been instrumental. And our department and our coaches and our student athletes are eternally grateful for that, as well as our trustees and so many others. I would just like to add that, you know, the Pac-12 experience for the University of Utah, I would like to even think it's been more profound than it has been for many other members. It changed this university. I saw it from afar, working at other Pac-12 schools. I saw the rise of Utah academically and certainly athletically. It's been a special, special ride, and we are so excited about this last lap ahead. You know, so many championships we have to defend in the league this year, and certainly with where we sit today, trying to create history and have the 3rd straight football championship. There's incredible people in that conference, and certainly the Commissioner Kliavkoff, who I spent a lot of time with over the last few years, is a good man and worked extremely hard to try to present the best possible way forward. But as we move forward, I too am so excited about the opportunity in the Big 12. I know many of their athletic directors, one of them used to be my intern. I'll let you guys figure out who that might be. I guess that means I'm getting old. A lot of great people, incredible cities. You know, you go on the road and all the sports there, and it's sold out. So, you know, Ute Nation, get ready, because everywhere, we got to get our tickets early in many of those events, because it's remarkable. They've renewed their football championship at Cowboy Stadium. I've never been to the basketball tournament in Kansas City, but I'm told it's an elite event. So there's a lot of enthusiasm. I had a chance to finally communicate with Commissioner Yormark. He's got a vision. as the president alluded to. He's got a lot of things he's thinking about. Sometimes I'm like, wow, can we do that? But he seems to have figured out different ways to do that. So excited about that collaboration moving forward. But again, I want to emphasize what an incredible opportunity the Pac-12 has been for this department, as well as for the entire university. And we wish everyone there the very best as we move forward.
With that, we'll open it up to questions. Please identify yourself, affiliation, and to whom your direction of question.
John Kuhn, Associated Press. This question is for President Randall. When you met with the other Pac-12 presidents and saw the media deal offered, what was kind of the tipping point where you decided the future was with the Big 12?
You know, we have an incredible president's room in the Pac-12. It's extremely collaborative. It is a positive group that is always trying to find solutions rather than not. And I will just tell you, we expended every energy to try to figure out how this deal could move forward. It was an innovative construct. It certainly, on its upside, had the promise to do something very different to the way we view television. I think everybody in the room caught that view. At the end of the day, each university was plugging in the numbers and kind of making their own decision. And obviously, the outcome is where we are today.
Josh Newman, KSL.com. Mark, you've been very public over the last 12 or 13 months that the remaining Pac-12 members, they were going to work in lockstep, and you wanted to find a deal. And you were clear that the University of Utah's home. You wanted it to be in the Pac-12. At what point last week did that thinking or that notion start to shift?
Well, to the first part of your question, I think the president said it best. There was always a very real effort to try to assist the commissioner and his team to get the very best deals that would lockstep, would lock us in going forward. And I want to echo that. It was a collective effort by many, the presidents, the board, the coaches, and the athletic directors, and the senior women's administrators, everybody trying to work collaboratively to make sure things got going forward. Obviously, as the president alluded to, the deal was presented, and as President Randall does, I mean, he's got a lot of incredible people around him, and we were plugging numbers and looking at everything like everybody else was, and it just, it obviously, you got to have a collective group to move forward, right, at the end of the day. And so, it ended where it was. But the effort was, and Josh, I've said over and over again that we were going to wait to see what the deal was, right? And that's the president's expectations, and at all the time looking out in the landscape and making sure options were available. But at the end of the day, the group had to come to a decision, and it ended where it was.
Patrick Kinahan, KSL Sports. Mark, how bittersweet is this because you have an extensive history in this conference?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's an amazing conference. I've worked at, 3 institutions in the conference. I attended the conference, attended a university in the conference, as did you, I believe. I don't know if you finished, but I know you attended.
Hey, you can rebut that, by the way.
7 years.
7 years?
7. Plus summer school.
Were you skiing like most of our students here? That's the question.
Of course, there's bittersweet. It'd be disingenuous for me not to say that, and there may be time to reflect weeks and months from now, but there's the sweet part too, and there is excitement of what's ahead in the cities that our student athletes will be able to compete in, and those opportunities that will be new.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com. Mark, obviously it's still early in the process, but have you been given any indication on how you'll make up or fix these non-conference games that you already have scheduled, and is there any indication of maybe doing divisions or anything that way in your eyes?
Yeah, we have not gotten into those details yet. I do believe that those meetings will occur sooner than later. If you look at the football schedule for next year, it didn't dawn on Jeff Rudy, who I believe is in the audience, who handles football scheduling for us, that we all of a sudden have 2 conference games that were originally as non-conference games. So the work just beginning. Charmel Green, our incredible Chief Operating Officer, is here as well. She will lead a transition team that will dive into every single possible issue on every single possible sport. I've told her I want to know how those teams think. I want to know how those teams, I want to know everything about everybody. We want to get in there and win right away. We have no reason to believe that we can't. But to your question specifically, we do have a lot of work to do on our schedules, and I'm sure Commissioner Yormark and Scott Draper, who is the gentleman who oversees football there, will be working very closely to go through that sooner than later.
Eric Walden, the Salt Lake Tribune. President Randall, it's been reported by your counterpart at Arizona State that it was their intention to try to keep the Pac-12 together as long as possible up until Oregon and Washington did not appear on the Friday morning conference call. Was that the intention of the University of Utah as well, and was that kind of the moment where it was kind of decided that you needed to go another direction?
Every president, literally, this conversation's been going on since last summer, right? And every president in the Pac-12, including Washington and Oregon, were trying to hold this whole thing together. I don't think you can ever blame it on it or point it to a single moment. There are lots of things that culminate in decisions for presidents. But I will say I felt honestly that every school in this league took time and weren't rash in their decisions, and they were trying to hold this league together.
David James, KUTV, and 97.5 The Zone. For both of you, Dr. Crow, in his remarks on Saturday, referred to the media overlords. Do you believe that what happened with the Pac-12 happened because Fox and ESPN find these schools more valuable apart than they do together?
I'm just going to quote Harlan, give me a break.
That's fair.
No, anyway, look, media is part of it, but so is building an incredible league that wants to stay together. When you think about this from a university president's perspective, you're looking broader than just the dollars and cents. You got to keep an athletic program healthy, so it's got to meet some minimum viability for sure. But on the margin, you're not going to choose for $1 million or $2 million. Here, you're thinking about the long-term view of the university and where you need to position it. And I'm sure that's what the other presidents were doing as well.
Yeah, nothing to add.
Taylor, from an academic standpoint, obviously, the University of Utah is an AAU member. It's a Tier 1 research institution. It was in the Pac-12 with other like-minded academic institutions. Where do you believe Utah sort of falls academically among the rest of the Big 12?
Yeah, these are sensational schools, right? I know many of the presidents personally. I think that's why this makes this a comfortable move for me personally. I know their standards. What I like about the group of universities in this league is they all are striving to get better, and you can see them bringing resources to bear to do that. I wouldn't bet against the Big 12. That's what makes us so excited to be there.
Hi, Andrea Urban with Fox 13. I was just doing some research on just the revenue that the conferences bring in, and actually the Big 12 is right up there with the Big 10 and SEC. So I'm curious, with either of you, how does the revenue increase or change for University of Utah athletics when joining a conference as powerful as the Big 12?
Mark, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. I'll just say a few things. The revenue, when athletic departments communicate revenue, it can get a little complicated, quite candidly. And there's so many different buckets. And sometimes you'll see a lumping of, for example, the television deal combined with how many units come from a basketball tournament or how many tickets you sell at a championship game. And so it is confusing. I will say that the thing I'm most excited about with this television dynamic that we go into is it's with two of the major providers in Fox and ESPN who've been obviously partners that we know well. It also will have streaming to it. And I think it's very important for folks to know that although primary linear is certainly where we're headed, there will be streaming because that's the way it's going. And I think we've seen many comments from very huge people in industry even hint that they could come sooner than we think. But this does position us to have a lot of visibility going forward, and I think that's what I'm most excited about.
President Randall, Jay Catch, KSLSports.com and KSL Sports The Zone. I wanted to ask you, in terms of Dr. Crow, he talked about the fact, he called it a 23rd century Star Trek.
Yeah.
In terms of the accessibility that would have given you guys via Apple, how enticing was that? But Mark's already alluded to the fact that there was the linear component was obviously a big deal.
You know, I think what President Crow is referring to is that it was a new type of way of viewing college sports. And so that was both intriguing and made us all kind of pause and say, we've got to analyze this a little further, right? It wasn't like saying, hey, we're going to say yes to a contract that we've done for years and years. We took a lot of time just kind of diving through it. You know, at times you felt like you were more a venture capitalist analyzing something, right, than you were just looking at a traditional media deal. But it was fun, right? It was energizing. It was exciting. Again, the way I described it is all of us had to make a decision about that and get to a certain comfort level, and we just couldn't get the whole group there.
Mark, even though you joined the Big 12 as a quote-unquote equal partner, the University of Utah, frankly, has more Olympic-type sports than many of the other institutions will in the in the Big 12. Is that any concern that you know, that equal share that you have now will be spread a little more thin than some of the other institutions will have to?
No, I'm not concerned about that. I am very excited about the fact that we match up so well with our sports. Charmel and I have already begun the conversation of beach volleyball. We know that's the one sport that does not match up. Lacrosse does not, but we already experienced that, and we will find solutions. That's what we do. We're so fortunate here at the University of Utah. I mean, our fan base, we're at an all-time record high for donors to this athletic department. We've had so many people support us in so many different ways, and we know with this announcement and securing the future and some of the anxieties, you know, moving to the side now, that I anticipate that we'll even grow even further. Our future is very bright.
With increased travel certainty within the Big 12, does that change like the scheduling strategy and philosophy for games outside the league across the different sports?
Well, I'd caution a little bit on increased travel. Everyone can look at UCF and West Virginia and say, well, that's further away, right? Even I figured that out quicker than I normally would. But there is
We got a great athletic director here, by the way.
I mean, I say, hey, look at that.
He's on top of it.
That's right. But there's a lot of groupings there that are closer than what we currently experience. And so as we go through and work with the conference and figure out how they're going to do that, we have to let the dust settle. So I just want to say that before we say increased travel, we have to look at the totality of all of that. But what I can say unequivocally is the student athletes at the University of Utah, we're not going to step one little inch back on what we provide them, how we take care of them, their health and wellness, and all of that remains our singular focus. And so whatever happens next, they'll be taken care of in a great way. And just on that note, you know, this is the time of year where we meet with all our student athletes and all the teams, and we're going through that process, Charmel and I and John Jansen and others, to make sure they're up to speed on everything that's going on. We've been communicating with them as we have with our coaches, and there's a lot of excitement.
Steve Bartle, 24/7 Sports. President Randall, over the last 12 years, the university, the athletic program has grown exponentially. The brand has grown for Utah as well. Looking ahead to the future, do you guys have goals and benchmarks to keep Utah on that upward trend and growing the brand?
You know, it's a great question. I'm a president that thinks synergistically about pieces of our organization, right? We are a big conglomerate. We are a healthcare system. We're a research institution. We're an educational institution. We're an athletics program, and certainly athletics plays a key role in the brand of the university. What I've liked most about the way Mark has run this program is he focuses on the student athlete first. You look at our graduation rates. If we didn't have graduation rates, it wouldn't be lifting, right, the university to the extent that it needs to. So we're going to continue to do that. And what I see in the Big 12 are institutions that are also committed to that holistic student athlete experience. And if we can do that right, you're going to see this brand continue to rise.
For either of you, were there any conversations of substance with the Big Ten throughout this process, but specifically within the last 2, 3, 4 weeks as things really started to pick up?
You know, I want to keep lots of conversations just relatively private, but we explored a lot of options. And, you know, I think what's been fun about following the media is you guys, I think, hit all the creative options. So, and we took a few ideas from you in that process, so we appreciated it. Thank you.
Just as a follow-up, for Mark, I suppose, you know, again, given the tenor and the tone of what the last year has been, trying to stay together, moving in lockstep, were you surprised when Colorado did not wait to see what the media deal looked like?
Yeah, I really can't speak for Colorado, and I think it goes to what the president said earlier and some of the other presidents that have made comments over the weekend. You know, every institution has to do at the end of the day, and I want to remind everybody, I was clear on that over the last year, you know, plus, you have to do what's best for the institution that you're at, and this place is special, and we're going to do what's for Utah. So I imagine Colorado had the same thinking. So. And I'm not going to be critical of any of that. They did what they had to do, and I guess the Colorado-Utah rivalry is back on.
Joe Coles, Deseret News. What kind of feedback or conversations have you had with your student athletes after this move?
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, that process is underway. Look forward to seeing a lot of them this week. We have a lot of meetings. We have been communicating with them. I was around the football program on Saturday. The days are a little bit jumbled. It's fair to say some of the young men from Texas were jumping around a little bit. You can imagine, but we'll have more feedback on that as we go through the week. But I think for them, I just put myself in their shoes. I mean, I think, you know, they follow and read what you guys write and hear, and I think having clarity and certainty is something that I'm sure they're very enthusiastic about.
We have 2 more identified.
Kevin Reynolds, Salt Lake Tribune. Washington's president said that she kind of went into the last week expecting multiple options to be presented for a media rights deal with the Pac-12. Was that your expectation as well, and were you surprised when only one was presented?
You know, I will say that through this whole process, our commissioner did everything he could to bring options to us in a pretty difficult media market right now. If you've been following what's going on with Disney and the like. So I appreciated his efforts, and what he brought to us was a creative solution. And again, as we mentioned, it's unfortunate we couldn't get that one over the finish line.
Mark, obviously there's 4 teams left in the Pac-12. Do you feel any, maybe loyalty is not the right word, but do you feel any ties to them that maybe you can use them as teams that you could schedule in the future? Or what's kind of your connection that you feel to them, if any?
Well, first of all, there's incredible people there, right? This is just like your business. It's a very high relationship business in intercollegiate athletics. We compete against each other at a very high level, and little secret is during the week we talk a lot about how to navigate stuff. So if you're referring to those 4, those athletic directors are very, very close friends of mine, and I'm feeling and I'm concerned, and I'm waiting to see what happens. And I do think there's a path that they're just too smart and they'll figure it out. So it's a little raw to talk about any of that. I think right now I'm thinking about them and thinking about my colleagues at the Pac-12 office and the Pac-12 network and all the wonderful people many of you guys know in this room. I mean, Ashley and Yogi. I could go on and on about a lot of people that I care deeply about. And they're all smart and they're all great and they're all going to land on their feet, and maybe the conference will find a path forward. But right now, way too early for me to think about using or anything like that with scheduling. We'll see how it all plays out in the coming months.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Thank you, President. everybody, for coming today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.